The most famous
queen
alum
of the brackets.
The most
is
famous
joining the
alum
program
of Indiana, of Bloomington. I want to start with a judgment of the bracket itself, Heather. And let's use Indiana as a 10 seed as an example. Did the committee get the seedings right?
Well, given the parameters of the system, I believe the answer is yes. Because remember, it's the 5 highest ranked champions are guaranteed a spot in this thing. So that's why you have a 3-loss ACC champion Clemson with the number 12 seed. That's why you have Boise State at the number 3 seed. They are one of the highest ranked conference champions. This is how this works. The question is this how you want it to work, right? Is this how you want the field to be seeded? Should there be reseeding? Should there be consideration of the fact that Ohio State could play Oregon again? Should it be the 12 best teams? Should it be 14 or 16? So I think at the end of all of this, the commissioners who are in charge of the playoff, along with the presidents and chancellors, there are 11 of them. They're going to meet on the morning of the national championship. They're going to ask all of those questions. But yes, given the way the system is set up now, I do believe they got it right because a lot of it had to do with the way SMU played in the second half of that ACC championship game against Clemson. And they did have 1 fewer loss than Alabama, and the 2 losses they had were to CFP top 25 teams.
Heather alludes to, it's 12 teams right now, but is it going to be 14? Will it be 16?
Yeah.
The answer to that, yes, for sure. That's definitely coming down. Hey, Heather, because I look at this bracket and I think it looks wonderful. You have been the person every single week that leads us into a projected bracket. We finally get the 12 right here. What have you heard has been the biggest qualm with the way that this seeding has come about? Because I see it and I listen to you and I don't see any issues with any of this, with what the committee decided.
Well, Oregon might have an issue with it because they're the number 1 seed and they arguably have the most difficult path. Yes, they have a first round bye, but if you take a look at that bracket, they could have to face Ohio State again. They could have to face Texas to win it all. And it's the path for the number 1 seed, in theory, should not be so difficult. But you look at Penn State's path and you could say, and the narrative is out there, that they, as the 6th seed, have the easiest path because they play 11 seed SMU and then Boise State. But, guys, I've got Penn State on upset watch in the Fiesta Bowl against Boise State. That is where I will be.
Hey, you and I both. All right, well, let's focus on the goings-on then, Heather, in South Bend, where it's already snowing. It's going to be a night kick there. It's the battle for Indiana. In your estimation, what would a win mean for this Indiana football program and the university in totality to go into South Bend and knock off the Fighting Irish in the inaugural CFP?
There wouldn't be anything bigger in program history. And I can tell you, as a student at IU, I covered 1 national championship. It was the first national championship I ever covered, and it was soccer under Jerry Yeagley. This is a program a school known for soccer, basketball, swimming and diving, and music, okay? Not football. So if you put this win on the board, there is nothing else that would compare. I mean, Indiana hasn't even had a share of the Big Ten title since 1967. And contrary to popular belief, I am not that old. So this is the biggest win that I would ever see as an alum.
Heather heard about that. Big
she
Ten
read about
share.
it.
Yeah, she heard about it. Many decades later, she heard about it.
It's on like a scroll in the library there in Bloomington. Heather and I talked, we were probably in the same press box in 2001.
Okay.
And Antoine Randall put like 48 points on Northwestern. It was like the only road trip I got to make when I was in college. No big deal. All right, so Heather, now that we both established that we're not that old, Marcus Freeman is someone that I remember as a player. And now he's got a 6-year contract extension with Notre Dame. How, if at all, does that affect a team heading into a playoff game like this?
Well, from the moment Freeman was announced that he would be their head coach and the promotion from the defensive coordinator, these players have galvanized around him. He has so much support within that locker room from those players. I think that this commitment to him is so important to their success because not only did they invest in Freeman, they are investing in the program as a whole, with the coaching staff, with facilities, with NIL, all of the things it takes to compete at the highest level. They are committed to that, and it does start with Freeman. And I think the fact that he was able to rally this team after the loss to Northern Illinois and not let that derail the entire season, which it easily could have, I think speaks volumes to just the way that they do respect him in that locker room. And he had that head down mentality, go back to work, and it paid off for them.
Winner of this game, they advance to play Georgia, who just recently, we heard the news that they are preparing to play in that quarterfinal game without Carson Beck. How does this affect Georgia's outlook here in the CFP, Heather?
Well, it has a huge impact on it. And quite honestly, I had Notre Dame beating Georgia even before the news of Carson Beck came out. Part of it was because of the uncertainty, but also because this Georgia team is beatable. It's been beatable all season. Ask Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. You know, they lost 2 games, and part of the problem is because even with Carson Beck in the lineup, they've had turnovers and penalties and mistakes that have been costly. This is not the same Georgia team that won back-to-back national titles, and that's okay. But the point is, they can lose, and I think this is just a further punch to the gut if Beck can't lead them.
I was going to say, that offensive inconsistency, we saw a little bit of it.
Yeah.
When Gunnar Stockton came in.
Well, he turned the tides, too, Carson Beck, after that string of games where it was turnover.
Exactly.
He pieced it together at the end of the season.
The road is there for Indiana or Notre Dame, and Heather likes Notre Dame. We call that an emotional hedge because obviously she wanted to see Indiana do well. Heather Dinich, the queen of the bracket. We appreciate the insight. Thank you.